Hi, I'm John Maxwell. When the top companies in the world are looking for trainers, speakers, and coaches, there's one name that stands above the rest, and that's Maxwell Leadership. Our certified team members have gotten proven results for companies all over the globe, and our reputation, I'm proud to say, is second to none. Some of our members have risen to the top of their profession, including the one you're going to meet today. I proudly introduce you to my friend Bob Fabian Zinka.
Welcome to the Leadership and Success Podcast with your host, Coach BZ. If you need to develop into a better leader, this podcast is for you. If you want to achieve a greater level of success, this podcast is for you. His mentor, Dr. John C. Maxwell, said it best: everything rises and falls on leadership. We hope to inspire you today and provide you with an insight that has the potential to positively impact the trajectory of your life. Welcome to the Leadership and Success Podcast.
You will think that the waterfront, the deck plate, is the only thing that the Navy is until you go to the Pentagon or go to an operations staff like a numbered fleet command or something like that and get that wider exposure, understanding that the Navy is just one part of the military approach for our type of government. It's that expansive, and the Pentagon is one of the best places to get that exposure.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. And I know there is quite a few of you out there watching live. I'm very grateful that you are here. And this show, I think, is going to be very beneficial to you. I have a very special guest. You already know who it is. I'm going to introduce him in just a second. But before we get started, let's have less than a minute to have our moment of gratitude. I always like to start the show by thinking about one thing that you are grateful for today. So for those who can, close your eyes, put yourself in your happy place, maybe take a deep breath and think about what is one thing that you are grateful for today. This morning I said I was really grateful for networking, collaboration, and meeting new people. I think I've really never met a human being that I wasn't friends with, right? I've never met a stranger in my life. And I think connection and networking has really helped me be who I am today and get to where I am today. Just meeting people who add value to your life, and then you add value back to their life. So if you can type in the comment that one thing that you are grateful for today, I would very much appreciate that. And also, let us know where you are coming from, what city, what state, and if outside of the US, what country. And if you have a question for Captain Select Walker, please type it in the comment as well. So let me do my best to introduce Captain Select Walker. So his journey started from enlisted sailor to commanding officer, just like me, but now he's Captain Select and packed with lessons on resilience, mentorship, inclusion, excellence, and you really do not want to miss this. We're going to be talking about going from deck plate to command, resilience in the face of failure, building a resilient team, the power of writing and speaking up, mentorship, coaching, and leadership mantras at last. So without any further ado, let me bring to you, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Captain Desmond Walker. All right, Des, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, BZ. Good to see you.
Fantastic. I am so glad you're here. I know we've been planning this for at least a few weeks now. I'm really glad you are here. And it is really wonderful to see people like you in the U.S. Navy, still the best Navy in the world, the most powerful Navy in the world, starting at the very bottom and going all the way to the top. So I hope to
Yeah.
see one star on your shoulder very, very soon. But it's just incredible. Actually, from the teaser I played, you were on another podcast, you were saying how for some people all they see is the blue Navy. But actually, in my experience, because I spent most of my time in the reserve, maybe 4 or 5 years on active duty, but everything else in the reserve. I have actually met sailors, believe it or not, who've never been on a ship, never. Their entire career, 20 years in the Navy, it's been shore duty only,
Yeah.
which is pretty crazy, right? But it just shows how big, huge the Navy is. What is it? More than 400,000 employees. I
Yeah.
mean, you have to
Yeah.
add.
If you count civilians, yeah, absolutely. And defense contractors, absolutely.
It's really, really, really crazy. But anyway, we're going to get into all of that. I guess the first question for you is, what is one thing that you are grateful for today?
I mean, I'm grateful for just being invited to your podcast. It's very rare to have an opportunity to share thoughts and ideas with others. And I'm a big person that believes in iron sharpens iron.
Mhm.
And I've been paying attention to you as well. And we connected socially years ago,
Yes.
and I continue to follow your content as well. And so, to me, I'm just grateful for this opportunity to be with you this evening.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Me too. It is really a great, great honor. What is something about you that most people may not know about?
Oh, that's a good question. Probably how um, probably how laid back I am. I'm a high energy guy when it comes to performance, whether it's physical, mental, things like that. But I keep it simple. I like playing PlayStation 5. I cheered, I celebrated myself when I completed the last God of War game, God of War Ragnarok. I like to play sports. I enjoy time with my family, and so I'm a very simple guy when it comes to that.
Wow, that is wonderful, wonderful to know. Can you tell us about your leadership journey, going from enlisted to now captain select in the most powerful navy in the world?
Man, 29 years is a long time, but it goes by very quickly. I tell you that. I know I was on leave after command, and I was able to let my beard grow out a little bit, and I didn't realize how much gray hair I had until it grew out. But what I would tell you is because I've tried to do the best I can at every level, my whole career has been very, very rewarding and very challenging at the same time, which I continue to appreciate to this day.
Well, that is quite powerful. When you were enlisted, which boot camp did you go to? I went to RTC. Great mistake. I mean, great legs. Where did you go?
Yeah, I went to Great Lakes as well. And once
Oh my
actually
goodness!
they were phasing out Orlando, I think. Yeah,
Wow!
96356 all day.
Oh my goodness! So you remember going under that bridge? I think when I went to boot camp the
Absolutely.
first 2 days, we didn't sleep. Maybe 1 or 2 hours. That's it. It was the worst day of my life. But after that, it was the best days of my life too. I still have friends today that I met more
Yeah.
than 20 years ago. It's just amazing.
Same here. Same
Wow.
here. Almost
Did,
30 years ago, I had lunch a few months, well, not lunch, but I met with one of my boot camp shipmates a few months
ah,
ago. Yeah,
that's
because he's still
amazing.
in the Navy. He's still connected to the military as well through the reserves. And when his job brings him to the area,
Yeah.
he at least reaches out and say, "Hey, I'm here.
Wow.
If we can connect, let's do it." So yeah,
That is really amazing because back then I used to have a pretty big afro. I remember the Navy cut all of my hair. I was so sad. And then, of course, they issued you the uniform and everything else. But yeah, it
right.
was quite quite an experience. So it looks like you began your life in Orlandale, Mississippi, right?
hmm
Now,
hmm
notice I didn't say Mississippi. I said Mississippi. That's because I lived
Mississippi, that's what it is.
15 years in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. So I know you guys very well. We used to say, thank God for Mississippi, because without you guys, Alabama would be the last state in the union. But anyway,
Yeah,
having
competing for
said that,
last.
yeah, but of course, also we play with Mississippi State all the time, but no, all time. No.
Yep.
Yesterday, I had
Yep.
one
Hail
of my
State.
coaches. Football is like God over there. But Anyway,
Yeah,
there
I
is a lot
almost ended
more.
up in Mississippi State too. I almost ended up in
Wow,
Mississippi State instead of the Navy for sure.
that is really amazing. So you began your career as an enlisted sailor like me. Before commissioning through, you went through the Seaman to Admiral 21 program. How did those early experiences shape the leader you are today?
Well, I would say the enlisted experience, I spent almost 9 years enlisted if you count my time in the ROTC, which the State
Mhm.
21 program allowed you to do for a period of time.
Oh, nice.
The best part about it was the leadership I had on the deck plate. I have always celebrated a leader in particular, my LPO at the time, Patrick Jones. He was when I was ETSC and ET3 Walker. He would show me the ropes and maintenance and stuff like that. And then it's like, hey, we're gonna make you the supply PO. And then, a few months go by, continue to do well. Hey, we're gonna make you the work center supervisor. And for me, I didn't think anything about it. It's like, okay, well, hey, the my division likes me.
Mhm.
I'm doing pretty well and continuing to perform. And it just grew from there. And so
Wow.
by the time, let me see, yeah, 2000, we deployed in 2000. That was my second deployment. We deployed in 98 and deployed in 2000. By the end of that second deployment, I was now ET2 SWAW Walker,
Wow.
and assistant LPO in the division, and kind of a leader amongst our division of like, I think it was maybe 18 people. But even then, that
Wow.
was still just trying to do the best job we can, and accomplish the mission. That was a very defining experience for sure.
That is really amazing. I tell people who don't know much about the military, in my opinion, the Navy, the military as a whole, I'm sure the Army, the Air Force does the same thing. We are really a leadership organization. We just happen to have a bunch of hardware around. Because even when I was a seaman recruit, the lowest rank in the entire military, you have to salute almost everything that moves. Even
Yeah.
then, the Navy was teaching me to become a leader of men. And that was
hmm
just amazing. Like within your unit and taking initiative and all of that. So, coming from Orlandale, Mississippi, what drove you to pursue the Navy, and what lesson from your upbringing still guide you in command today?
Yeah, I would say nothing drove me. That's where I would start. I was attending the Mississippi School for Mathematics and Science in Columbus, Mississippi, which is right down the street from Starkville, where Mississippi State is. And honestly, we had I think a recruiter came to the campus one day, and the instructors were like, hey, we got class, but there's a Navy recruiter on campus. So if you want to take this test, you can go to class. I was like, ooh, let me go take this test real quick and get out of class. And did pretty well on it. And then also took they call it a nuclear. I took a nuclear field test as well,
Mhm.
passed that as well.
Wow.
And I liked what the recruiter was saying about an opportunity to work and serve. And that also
Mhm.
too, Mississippi MSMS was very demanding academically, and not that I was tired, but I did want to do something different.
Yeah.
I wasn't a stranger to hard work, and so I ended up doing the late entry program in the Navy shortly after the ASVAB, and so
Wow.
graduated in May and was in boot camp by July. Because I just decided I wanted to go to the Navy and do something instead of going to college and continuing education. Even though
Wow.
the high school experience prepped me for college
Mhm.
very well.
That is amazing. So, did you consider the few, the Pratt, the Marines, or the Air Force, or the
Nope.
Army at all? Not at all.
But the
Okay.
only recruiter came to campus was Navy, so it was Navy. It was
Wow.
Navy or
That's
nothing,
pretty cool.
and it was a
Because
chance to see the world.
yeah, that is really fascinating. Because for me, 9/11 was really what touched me a lot. I wasn't a US citizen at the time, but my wife was, and we had a baby on the way. And I wanted to do something to help protect our way of life. But I talked to everybody, the Army, the Air Force, and every other branches. But very, very quickly, I found out that the Army and the Marines was not for me. I thought those people are just killers, right? They don't really use
Right.
much of their brain. At least that's what I thought at the time. I'm like Air Force, Navy, yes, those people are really nerds, just like I am. We can use our brain and really do a lot of great things for this nation. But of
Right.
course, I wasn't eligible yet because I didn't have my green card. But anyway, they kept saying no, no, but I kept coming back like a Terminator. I'll be back. So once I got my green card, then I knew for sure that the Navy was the place for
Yeah.
me. Now, you all degrees in electronic technology, engineering management, and an MBA too. And I'm wondering, like me as an IP officer in the Navy, they don't care about my MBA at all. I got my MBA for the job I do for Silicon Valley, but they do care about my Master of Science. But I wonder, does your designator, your community care about MBA, or did you just
No,
do it
well,
because you wanted to?
I would say it's that I wouldn't look at it that way. The kind of let's kind of break it down a little bit.
Mhm.
The military has some requirements for commissioning officers,
Mhm.
which includes a college education. So you got to start there,
Mhm.
because the purpose of a degree, which we know, going to the college experience is really what it's about.
Yes.
Getting into critical thinking, problem solving, decision making. All those things, early leadership, whether it's the SGA or within
Mhm.
your affinity groups and things like that, it's a chance to develop yourself further than what
Yes.
you get in the high school experience. And so you're really validating that. And that's to me, that's what the college degree, undergrad degree, brings to the commissioned officer,
Mhm.
um, which is different for the expectations of performance for enlisted. I mean,
Yes.
journeyman enlisted or
Mhm.
apprentice enlisted. And so that's where you start. And then after that, you're a naval officer, and now it's what your community as a naval officer that you're going to continue to grow and develop in. And for
Mhm.
me as a surface warfare officer, nuclear trained surface warfare officer, I, the career path for SWO is path to command.
Yeah.
And you have division officer experience, department head experience, then
Mm.
executive leadership experience. And as part of professional development,
Yeah.
a master's degree, and then some joint, professional military education is also a part of that
Mhm.
shaping of the leader over time, because it's
Yes.
all based on years of commissioned service,
Mhm.
in our meritocracy. And
Yes.
so my first master's degree, actually my master of engineering management, was kind of my wicket
Mhm.
to show that growth. And
Yes.
then the
Oh, Captain, I think I just lost you. Hey, Des, I think I just lost you. Okay, wait just a second. Captain Select Walker will be back in just a second. Okay, this is what happened when you do a live show on LinkedIn and YouTube. Uh, let's hold on just a second until it comes back. Let me play some cool guy music while we wait. While waiting, if you have a question, please type it in the comment, and also let us know where you are coming from. Okay, what city, what state, and if you are outside of the US, what country. All right. I think I'm gonna need to edit this once I publish this on all of the other podcast platform. Okay. Let's see. Okay, he's back. All right, you are back. I know exactly where you were. here we go. So we were talking about you. You did the engineering management master's, right?
Hmm.
That was
Yeah.
wicked. But then you are just an overachiever, don't you? You had to go and do electronic technology and MBA too, which you didn't even need. How do you explain
Yeah.
that?
Well, the MBA, because I was working in the Pentagon by that time, it kind of just fit.
Yeah,
I was learning about the military, the macro level,
yeah,
and um, I just started connecting some dots with some things like, hey,
that's
how do I
fantastic.
professionalize this military experience? You always got to be thinking about the exit strategy too.
Absolutely.
And so my MBA is actually the emphasis in human resources management. And
Wow.
so supply chain management, operation analysis, risk analysis, all those
Mm,
things just kind of align to what I was already doing. So hey, let me get a degree, or let me pursue a degree
yes.
that would kind of expand on the experience I was getting in real time. Yep,
That is really wonderful. And for the junior officers who are listening to us now, I think in the Navy you really get a whole bunch of opportunities, but it's not just gonna fall on your lap, right? You have to do something to actually take
absolutely.
advantage
Yeah,
of those. Like me,
yeah,
one opportunity I use, everybody has to do the JPMA once you're a lieutenant. I use that for an actual master. So I got a master of science in management and naval operation because of the relationship between the Naval War College and University of Maryland. So there are really a whole lot of opportunities out there, schools you can go to for free, and of course the Navy is gonna pay for everything, but you do need to take the initiative. And I must
absolutely.
tell you this: the MBA is definitely extremely important once you leave the Navy and you go into the industry. That is huge. That's the only
Yeah,
reason why I got the MBA, because
yeah,
when I was in Silicon Valley, most people it was very, it's not like the military, right? So they don't really just obey orders, jump when you say jump. So I had to
yeah,
speak business
yeah.
language in order to be able to
Yeah.
influence them, and MBA was my way to do that. So all of this education you've had outside of the Navy, how does that influence your approach to leadership and decision making?
Right, it was directly connected. Like I said, in the Pentagon, learning how that part of government works,
Hmm.
understand the Navy as a corporation,
Yes.
but like I said, the hundreds of thousands of employees, trying to understand the different echelons and looking at the parallels with what I learned through the
Yes.
MBA translated directly to once I got back to the waterfront, back to the fleet with the sailors. The ability to translate or take
Mhm.
something that's being put out by the chief naval operations or by a fleet commander. And the first question is, what does that mean to me? I just want to do my maintenance and go home. Right. And so, the ET3 in me tried to always remember, hey, when these PDFs and, these nav admins and even the
Mhm.
shout out to the CNO with the current C notes that I've been hearing nothing but great things
Yeah.
from the friends and circles I'm in about the C notes and how they're resonating. That's what it was about, is taking what's being put
Yeah.
out and translating it to give the so what to the junior sailors and to your leadership under your charge.
That is really great. And as you know, there are many paths to commissioning and command. Do you think it was a great advantage for you of having been enlisted prior to becoming a commanding
Yeah,
officer?
I would say it's an advantage. I mean, it's nothing against the traditional path,
Hmm.
because that's where majority of our officers come from the
Yes.
academy, and then supplemented with ROTC and officer candidate school. And
Hmm.
so, but it for what I wanted to do, what kind of leader I wanted to be, it definitely gives me better understanding and appreciation. You have to work as
Yes.
hard as leader to try to empathize and sympathize with what enlisted soldiers are going through. And
Hmm.
so it would probably enter into my calculus for decision making earlier,
Yeah.
whereas someone that is not prior enlisted, which I have no doubt our leaders care about the impacts to their
Mhm.
team. But if that perspective is just earlier in the calculus for decision making, just
Yeah.
makes for better decision making if you have that background. Yeah.
Yes, and I think for me specifically, I think one big difference between our military and military from most other countries, they don't really have the senior enlisted rank like the chiefs. In my opinion, chiefs they really do run the navy, and when I was enlisted, I
Yeah.
saw how they took care of me, right, as a
Yeah.
seaman recruit, and I really never lost that. But basically, even when you are a junior officer, chiefs still mentor you, or one or two or three, even at or
Hmm.
four. Does that kind of change the interaction you had with your SEL or SEA once you became a commanding officer? Just I guess, the relationship between you, your XO, and your cell.
The triad, kind of talk about the triad relationship. Um, well, first thing I would say is, even though I did not go through the Chiefs mess as part of my journey, um, I'm one of the biggest advocates and critics of the Chiefs mess. I hold them in such a high regard
Hmm.
because of what they bring to the table. It means something when the chief walks in the room,
Yes.
and I have no problem holding that accountable. Um, and another way I think about it too is, um, if you have a commanding officer that looks like they don't appreciate the chief's mess or don't appreciate the enlisted, ask yourself what kind of chief that officer had when they were a division officer,
Mm.
right? And so that's why during my command tour, even as an XO as well, when I was trying to learn the ropes on and thinking through how do I support my CO, how do I work with the command master chief to support the
Yes.
CO, and how do I support the CO by keeping the ship running.
Hmm.
um the chief mess, the devil and the chief is where I zeroed in a lot. 'Cause if you look at it, obviously I can only speak to ships.
Yes.
But when you go back and look at the SORM, Nav Instruction 3120 point 32,
Hmm.
the division officer, the chief, that administrative chain of command sets the tone for everything. There is working supervisor, LPO,
Yes.
LCPO, division officer, department head, captain. That's
Hmm.
your framework. That's your ladder that
Yes.
upon with your fishbone, you then can layer every other
Mhm.
primary cloud of duty on top of. And I held firm to those expectations,
Yeah.
whereas the divo and the chief are two sides of the same coin. The officer is a commissioned officer, and so you must respect that level of accountability and
Yes.
authority. Whereas the chief may have more navy or naval or leadership experience,
Hmm.
they're still subject to that to orders of that commissioned officer, and then just
Absolutely.
translate up as at the department head level, or the department level, and at the command level. And so,
Wow.
by the time I got in command, I celebrate all my accomplishments in concert with my chief head officer, Master
Yes.
Chief Earl Ashley. I'm not a successful CO without him. I'm
Hmm.
not a successful CO without that chief's mess taking on board what I was trying to do, the vision I was trying to communicate, and the
Yes.
missions that I set as priorities for us to be successful.
Wow, that is really, really powerful. And by the way, we got an hello from Stephanie Easter from Clinton, Maryland, Ryan
Oh yeah,
A. from San Diego, and Deborah says, I think she served with you on the Stennis, which is pretty cool, coming from Kansas. Eric Wim from Millington, Tennessee. And then also we've got Marco from San Diego. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. If you have a question for Captain Walker, please type it in the comment. We're going to make sure to get through it. Now, for the junior officer who are watching, was that really the people this podcast is for? I podcast every single day. I write a leadership article every single day for
yeah.
aspiring leaders in the military and the I take here in Silicon Valley. What advice would you give them uh, about balancing operational demand with pursuing higher education, especially those who are deployed or on active duty?
Well, I would say there is. I would honestly tell you that I don't think there is a balance. I think there is a what do you want and when do you want it kind of thing.
Mm,
And then you'll prioritize your level of effort and then put your energy and time where you want it to be. Um, and so, like I said, when I worked on my first master's degree, I started while I was on shore duty and finished just about like halfway through my department head pipeline. But
wow.
then I So I reevaluated my career management after I checked into my first department tour and realized, hey, my NPS peers or my peers that graduated from postgraduate school as
Mhm.
division officers, heading as department head, they had JPME one and I didn't. And
Yes.
so guess what I was doing as ops for the first 8 months? I was
Mm,
working on my JPME ones to make sure
yes.
I remained competitive to ensure that I at least had the same things that they did from a notional perspective, because I always wanted to make sure that I was as competitive as I could, so
Yes.
that performance really was the difference maker and not that I was missing
Wow.
something that was already expected.
That is really fascinating. So, as a first-time CEO, commanding officer of the USS Stout, right, DDG
Mhm.
55, what was the most challenging leadership decision you had to make, and what did you learn from it?
See, there you go. You got me making decisions. I'm not in command anymore. I don't appreciate that question at all.
Well,
Out of 700 some days of command, which one was the most challenging? How about all of
yes, yes.
them? But
But I'm sure you reached out to some of your mentors, right?
oh man, the group chats and the emails was and the phone calls was flying the whole
Yes.
time. The I'd say probably most I would let me see. Probably a challenging decision um was probably towards the we were trying to um finish a lot of training certifications just before deployment.
Mhm.
And it required a few weeks of early days and late nights for all of us
Yes.
in some capacity to meet all those requirements. And but we got through it. We did it well.
Wow.
Uh, our results resonated with the assessors, and it ended up being very foundational for first showing that we proved ourselves how resilient we can be when we really had to, and and that was able to be carried forward to the posture we set for deployment
Yes.
in from a toughness and resiliency perspective.
That is really amazing. So let me ask you, it's probably my last question before we go to the second segment. Time is running out so
Mhm.
quickly. But how did you build a culture of trust, inclusion, and resilience on board during such a demanding tour?
Well, it started from day one.
Oh, and also before you answer, another thing I think
Sure.
people may not realize, especially in the Navy, I don't think they do that in the Army and the Air Force. Really, to us, when you get in command is the highest level of trust the Navy can ever give anyone, because
Yeah.
it's not like you have well, I guess you do have a ASIC, right? But they are far, far, far away. It's not like they look over your shoulder, especially at sea. You make all of the decision. Basically, you are
Yeah.
pretty much God at sea, command by negation. You know what
Yeah.
the vision is, the mission is for your ship, but then
Yeah.
you make up all of the decision, and ultimately you are responsible for everything. So
Yep.
I don't think the other services they really get a sense of what that is like. So knowing all of that again, how did you build that uh, culture of inclusion and resilience, and how did you do it?
Yeah. So, starting with understanding a few things about chain of command, expectations of performance, at the deck plate level, the chief's mess
Mhm.
wardroom, and understanding what each billet brought to the table. I leveraged something one of my mentors told me about roles and functions, and that's what I wanted to do was define the roles and articulate the functions so that we could be a very a matrix team, because I needed people to be able to move without talking directly to me.
Mhm.
And so that first started with the triad, understanding their role, my CMC as the senior enlisted advisor, and making sure that decisions consider the impact to the sailor when I'm going to do something, and then my XO understanding be where I'm not kind of
Mhm.
mindset, and then the department heads empowering them through word and deed that they're there to run the ship. I had been through department head school. I had been a department head, and I understood that those department heads they are showing up at their highest level of technical level of knowledge from an equipment, from a people perspective, from a tactics perspective. And so I let those horses run, give them the left and right limits, and then let them work together as a team, kind of like mid-level management. And
Yes.
then the Chiefs mess again, making sure that they understood what the priorities were. Because I found it helpful to ensure that they knew what was important, what the priorities were. Because to me,
Mhm.
this is where division officers come into play as well in
Yes.
managing their time. Uh, the decision, know what your requirements are, so that when you decide to do something, you also know what you're deciding to not do. You
Yes.
know, you might have 50 things to do, but if 1 and 5 and 7 and 23 aren't aligned to what the CEO needs over the next 2 weeks, then push those to the side and start working on number 24 and start working on 2 and 17, because those
Yes.
are lines of things that have to happen for us as a crew in the next 24 48 hours. And so baseline that, and then started getting after celebrating the wins.
Mhm.
No matter how small of an achievement we did as a team, making sure that the crew understood that I could see them, I see them performing, and value that. And then just built on it from there. Once you build a record of performance, um, uh, uh, things can happen. You look at like
Yes.
Golden State or the Chicago Bulls. That's 82 games, a very long season. You
Mhm.
don't just luck up into the NBA Finals. You don't just luck up and win multiple championships. There's some team chemistry. There's some organic things that happen. Some of it starts from the top, but some of it has to start and flourish from within.
Yes.
I wanted to create that environment
Mhm.
um, of performance, and then let the team run with that.
That is really, really powerful. What are some of your leadership mantra? I had two primary mantra. Actually, I just stole it from my best CEOs when I became a CEO. Number one was mission first, people always, because you
Yeah,
have to do the mission no matter what, but definitely
yeah,
take care of your people. And then one team, one fight. What were some
yeah,
of your
yeah. I
mantra?
had three levels. Starting with my philosophy, it was define the standard, own the standard, become the
Mm,
standard. You know, take the
that's
time to
powerful.
learn what the requirement is. Don't just brush over. Oh, I have to do this checklist. No, what is the requirement? What is it? Where is that governing instruction for that standard?
Mm,
And then owning the standard. Okay, you works on a supervisor, you junior sailor, you first class, you
mm,
chief. You need to own that standard. Make it a part of what you're doing every single day. And then
yes.
when you become the standard, now your behaviors, your actions are now representative of what the standard is. And look, a lot of times you get caught up in
Powerful.
standards are changing. No,
Hmm.
standards aren't changing. Just how you're executing, how you're
Yes.
preparing is what's different. And sometimes people relax the standards,
Hmm.
but then sometimes people enforce the standards. And I wanted to make sure more times than not we were enforcing standards, creating that culture of excellence.
Wow.
Then from a philosophy, that was the command philosophy. Then going into kind of the behavior stuff, I had my 5 Ps: programs, policies, procedures, and processes are how we take care of our people. Follow the standards.
Mm,
Do your paperwork on time to make sure you get paid. Do your maintenance on time so that you can order new parts if it breaks when you're doing the
yes.
maintenance. All those things come into play. And then I follow that up with the final
Oh, hold on.
mindset.
You said
Oh,
program, policy,
yeah.
procedure, and
Programs,
process.
procedures, policies, and processes
Okay,
are
that's only
how we
for
are how
four
we take
P's.
care of our people.
Oh, people.
People,
Yeah, got it. Got it.
yes.
Yes.
Yep, absolutely.
Fantastic. Wow.
Absolutely. And then then the kind of the daily drum beat
That's powerful.
was then the mindset, attention
Mhm.
to detail, um shoot, drum, attention to detail. What was the other one? Oh, I got my book right here. Let me
Good.
see.
I know for
Yeah,
attention to
questioning
detail.
attitude. There's attention to detail, questioning attitude, and be a team player. That's what I expected from everybody every single day, whether you were an E3 or an O4.
That is powerful. I remember again going back to boot camp. Failure to follow instruction. That's really where
Yeah.
I learned not only to have the macro vision, what we're doing and where we're going, but also the micro vision, what is happening right here to my right and to my left. That is wonderful. Okay, I could be speaking with you for forever. I'm gonna need to land that plane soon. So before
Much
I
time as you
can,
need. I'm here as long
before
as you need me.
thank you so much. Before we go to the second segment, I do want to ask you this about your LinkedIn banner, this one here. Can you tell me about this? What is the significance of this LinkedIn banner, especially in the middle here?
Yeah. So, good friend of mine, CJG Asante Makala. I met him as Ensign Makala when I was stationed in San Diego, California. And SWO trainee asked me to be his mentor, along with some other junior officers, and just wanted to be a part of his life in any way that he needed me to, as he worked through the standard SWO progression from checking to see a ship, and within so many number of months you want to qualify to serve as warfare officer, so you can continue to move forward. And he reached out to me and a couple of other, basically one of our small mentorship circles, and um, has and shared frustrations with his inability to qualify service warfare officer. And you know, typical questions. Hey, let's get you some extra help. Let's connect some dots with some different things and help you get ready. And kind of that was it. It was just I think it was like a Friday evening phone call, whatever. And then 2 weeks, about 2 weeks later, I was reading Navy Times article, and he was lost at sea, and I was just heartbroken because yeah, I didn't know a lot of circumstances around his struggles, but I do know that he was one of the kindest, most positive people I ever met, and to lose his life like that, just it shook me. And so this is when I was in my department head kind of period of time, and so I spent a lot of time thinking about what are some of the things that could have contributed to how his life ended. And so by the time I uh, got to my prospective executive officer training pipeline, because for SWOs is you do an XOCO fleet up, so you know what you're doing for the next 3 years when you start up. So to help me have a center when I got into stressful situations or into challenging environments, I had that bracelet made that was in the center of that photograph for to and I wore that bracelet from the first day of my XO training pipeline until my last day of command. So that's roughly about 3.5 years. I only took it off for safety reasons. I've had to put my hand in an electrical switchboard or something, but I always wore that. And then I had my family's name on the inside as well. But I wore that as a visual reminder of the impact that I could have on every single person that came within contact, and I just wanted to value that and pay respect to what I know his goal was in the Navy, which was to
That's
qualify service warfare officer.
wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. I do appreciate it. I hope that you never had a sailor who reported directly to you, lost at sea or died during your. Okay. I only had one. I think it was in 2019. I was a division officer in the USS Essex, and one of the sailors in my division, they got a letter from their, I think it was his wife or his girlfriend, who decided to not be with him anymore.
Yeah.
He really got anxious, and then he decided to just jump overboard. We did find his body, but his skin turned from white to like purple. I mean,
Mm.
even today, I still have nightmares about it. But that's one thing, I guess, in the military, very, very different from the industry, right? Nobody at Microsoft or Google or Meta is going to give their life for me, and really almost zero chance of someone dying. But in the military, unfortunately, that does happen, and it's a risk that we all take when we wear this uniform. But again, no, knock on
Yeah,
wood, no, we don't lose any seller, because each person that you lose, it's not just that person, but it's their family. They have children, their parents. It's really it can be very very tragic.
absolutely.
And again, thanks again for service. Okay, let's switch over to the second half of the podcast where we really focus on leadership. One of my first question is, what do you think is the greatest lesson you have ever learned?
Man, greatest lesson I have ever learned. Um, Probably don't take yourself too seriously.
Hmm.
Um, the Not getting too high, not getting too low, trying to maintain an even keel. And I've had some frustrating times uh, over the course of my career. But by the time I got to my command tour, I was comfortable with the crises. Because there were several times where, things are going on and then everybody stops and looks at you.
Hmm.
And how do you respond in those moments can be a difference maker in how the crew moves forward. And so I
Yes.
was blessed to have like I said, I was blessed to have a tough and resilient crew, and I just wanted to make sure that I emulated that as well and make sure it wasn't just lip service. And so I try to do that to the best of my ability. And I started when I take myself too seriously. Another way I'll call it, I call it humble confidence. Like I believe in myself, absolutely,
Yes.
um, but I'm humble enough to know that I don't have all the answers. And so I leaned on my team a lot. I know I'd ask questions,
Hmm.
but I didn't consider myself the smartest person in the room in every conversation.
Wow, that is powerful. I'm going to ask you another question. I know you're going to mention this book, The Golden 13. I've read it at least a couple of times.
I have that
And
book as well.
yeah, forward by the one and only General Colin L. Powell, one of my personal heroes. So blacks in America, they didn't becoming officer until 1944. So it's not that long ago. You, a black kid from Mississippi, going from enlisted to now captain select in the most powerful navy in the world. You've got to tell us, what is the secret of your success?
Well, I would start with at kind of piggybacking off the not taking myself too seriously. I'm still just an old country boy from Mississippi at heart, and so I know what it's like to work hard. I chop cotton, every summer in from like age 10 to age 15. That's what you did, make $30 a day, um, chopping cotton. And so by the time I got to the military, work ethic was just okay. What's the next thing I need to do? Um, and so, what was the question again, though?
So the secret to your
Oh,
success.
yeah, seriously. So it was just it's been staying true to that the work ethic piece. And it's funny. I was talking to my wife yesterday.
Hmm.
I was gonna pay somebody to trim the trees in the yard, and I was just like, after I got the estimate, I was like, oh, just get this saw. I'm gonna cut these limbs
Yeah,
real quick.
that is powerful.
And so um that's what it has been for me.
Yeah, I know there is this saying you say all the time. I think I had it in the flyer about grinding and repeat, which is really, really, really cool, but so
Yeah.
true. Uh,
Yeah, wake up, grind, sleep, repeat. I'm living proof. That's
wow.
what I do.
That is really something, because sometimes, again, you may not be the most intelligent one in the bunch, but I can pretty much outwork anybody there. Wake up early, be there early, stay there late, and keep doing it consistently, and eventually you will outpace the competition. So that's very powerful. So, what about a leadership advice? What is the greatest leadership advice you have ever received?
Oh, this is a leadership advice. One of my mentors, he's not retired, Rear Admiral Jesse Wilson. I met
Hmm?
him maybe 11 years ago at a
Yeah.
professional development conference, and he said, "Bloom where you're planted,"
Mm,
and that's what I've tried to do. And I mean, I've been reslated in every position I've had in the Navy, going all the way back to my first department head tour. I got some orders for a thing, and then it was changed. And
Mm.
that's happened every time through my up to and including my command tour. And so being trying to control my destiny as much as I can through preparation. Still just whatever opportunity presented itself, I wanted to do the best I could and not question once the decision is made. All
Mm-hmm.
right, there's no more wiggle room. It's time to move forward. All right, let's move
Yes.
forward. And
Wow.
I found that to be very helpful.
That is powerful. Of course, for those who are in the Navy, we usually say semper gumby, right? Always be
Yeah,
flexible. That is so key. But also something you said for the
you're showing
JO.
your age with that one though.
That's true. But for the junior officers listening to us now, you just heard what the captain says, right? 11 years ago, he met an admiral and he became his mentor. So, one thing, I think you really need a lot of initiative if you're going to be successful in this Navy. You have to reach out to people, network with them on LinkedIn, in person, go to conferences and ask them, hey, would you help me? Would you please review my record and give me advice? And I'm going to tell you, 9 times out of 10, every senior officer in this Navy is always going to take time for a junior officer who wants to do better and wants to add more value. Always. I know we are super busy, but we will always make the time for that. Would you agree to that, Des?
Absolutely, absolutely.
And also, when you're looking for a mentor, sometimes your mentor can only be another junior officer who's 1 year or 2 years ahead of you,
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
then they go ahead of you, and it's very recent, right? They just went, they just got boarded, they just got selected, so they can tell you what they did or what their secret is. Whereas if you go to an old guy like me or Captain Des here, we did this, but it was like 10 years ago, 7 years ago, and a lot of things have changed in the service since. So I think I don't know. I don't think in the surface warfare officer community, you guys are not required to have an official mentor, right? It's kind of like uh,
There's there's no formal program, but
program.
it's
Okay, you just
implied
attend.
all across. You know,
Okay,
your CEO should be considered your mentor. Like I know
yes,
I told all my chiefs and officers I'm your mentor, whether you want it or not.
very good.
And so I'm that behavior, the expectations there, it's just not as formal as it used to be years ago.
Very good. I know in the IP community, especially in the reserve, it was absolutely formal. I used to be the one who would assign the mentors and the mentees, but
Yeah.
but in my opinion, it works best when it's natural, right? When you just
Absolutely. The more
sit with
organic, the
someone.
better. The
Yes.
better. Yeah. And also, your mentors don't have to be in the same designator. I have mentors, or I'm mentoring someone in
Mhm.
other designators all the
Yes.
time over my career. And then civilians, then I'm going to give a shout out to Miss Easter, who's in the chat
Mm.
right now. She's a
Yeah.
mentor as well, but she's a career civilian in Department of Defense. And so, but she brings a
Yes.
perspective that a uniformed person can't give me. But
Yes.
when I'm trying to learn the Pentagon and how the Pentagon is relevant to whatever else is going on, she's got a perspective that no naval officer can give me.
That is so true. Wow, that's wonderful. And the other thing I will add about mentorship is they don't always have to, outrank you. Sometimes your mentor can be someone who's at a much lower rank too. Like I said
Oh
earlier,
yeah,
I've been mentored by chiefs my entire uh, career, but even as a
I still talk to
commanding
chiefs,
officers,
first
yes,
classes. Absolutely.
that is
Oh yeah,
wonderful. So, as a leader, what are you learning now?
man. I am learning how to recover. That's what I'm doing.
Yes.
I am learning how to take a knee.
Yeah.
um, but no,
I,
seriously
I
though,
think I probably took six months after my end of tour when I was commanding officer because it's a full
yeah,
time job. There is just
yeah. Yeah,
nothing
but
about
now I'm laying the foundation for my next heavy lift as a reactor officer on a nuclear powered aircraft carrier. That's going to
it.
be a highly
Congrats.
demanding
Yes.
academic push. And so one of my mentors talked to me about technical leadership.
Mm-hmm.
There's a technical component to being a reactor officer that everything is going to be on me. But then there's leadership of over 500 people that's a part
Yes.
of that as well. So between the equipment and the people,
Mm.
I got some work ethic to put in and execute to be ready for that next stage. And so yeah.
Wow. That is wonderful. And how has failure shaped your life? I have this little coin I like to show. This side says success, and this side
Hmm.
says failure. And most people they only see this, but they
Hmm.
don't know what you had to go through in order to
Sure.
achieve everything you've achieved. So how has
Yeah.
failure shaped you?
It has definitely informed future decisions. future movements. Over time, I learned to re-characterize it as lessons as opposed to failure. Um, and so um, through that paradigm, understanding that it's more important to try and fail than to never have tried, that's where I've been.
Wow.
And so, you know, again, like prior enlisted guy coming to the officer ranks in the wardroom and stuff, had to have an OD board a couple of times, had to have a surface warfare board a couple of times. My prospective nuclear engineering officer exam, I didn't make it the first try. I had to go a second time, which was even harder because they added layers to it to
Yes.
validate your level of knowledge and your understanding of the information. And
Mm.
so, I've got my own version of scars and lumps and trying to press and power through. And
Yes.
so, but again, like I said, if you never get too high, never get too low, then you chalk it up as another lesson to the game and you keep moving forward.
Hmm. Let me ask you this. I'm gonna go on a limb. When you went to boot camp, did you know how to swim back then?
No.
Okay, so you're just as crazy as I am. Of all of the branches of the military, now I used to swim when I was a kid, but then I got scared of the water. It was psychological, really. I don't know why. Maybe I almost drowned once, but anyway, I didn't swim from the time I was maybe 6 years old to the time I joined the Navy, and then the Navy had to give me a year. They told me, okay, Seaman Zinga, you're gonna have to learn how to swim, qualify as a third class qualified swimmer, but if you don't do it within 12 months, you are out. So then
Yeah.
I did everything I had to do to be able to do that. So
Yeah.
tell me about that experience.
Well, it'll be real quick. It's two. So in boot camp, I'm a negative buoyancy guy, so swimming was already hard. And so,
Yeah.
by the end of boot camp, I had those dungarees, get that air of water,
Yeah,
hide them
yeah.
things off real quick, and get my flotation device going. I was treading water like some. Hey, put my arms out
Yes.
and kick and move my arms. Hey, there's a minimum for a reason, and I met
Yes.
it. But it was a lot of effort, a lot of extra time in the pool, and then the same thing for when I got to the ROTC, I took
Hmm.
a swimming class. I had an extra class
Very good.
in my curriculum that wasn't a part of my degree plan, but I took a swimming class to make sure I can get through
Wow.
those requirements. Doing what you got to do to achieve the goals you want to accomplish.
That is wonderful. I'm really glad I'm not the only one. But what I ended up learning is I just needed to like. Did you do that thing? I'm sure you did. What where you had to jump off 20 feet
Yep.
into the pool and then swim away. Man, that
Yep.
scared me to death. But yeah, it's really amazing when you go through boot camp military training. You get to learn who you are really. I think as a person, and
Absolutely.
you get self confidence like you've never had before because yes. I couldn't do this before, but now I can, and I can pretty much face anything in the future. Okay, this is great. So, what are you reading right now that we should read? What books do you recommend?
Um, I say I was reading Power Shift
Hmm.
um by Damon John.
Yeah.
I'm going through that right now. And then my next one I have this one, Dr. Spear, Wiring the
Okay.
Winning Organization. So I'm gonna try to start going through that one
Hmm.
pretty soon. Because as organizations evolve and change, the demographics change. You want to try to be informed on
Yes.
what's resonating with the workforce. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now.
And I know another book you were going to recommend the Golden 13, right?
Oh,
And
always.
and then you also had this one, Navigating the Seven Seas. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Oh yeah, yeah. Admiral Mel Williams and his son. I mean his dad, Master Chief Williams.
That
That
is
was a great
amazing.
book. I read that book back in my Divo times.
Wow.
Because I was trying to navigate the seven C's, where he gets a play on the words for the letter C.
Hmm.
Um, that was a really good book because when I was trying to find um leadership language, because it
Yeah.
was the transition from enlisted to officer was very challenging for me because I had to get out of my own way. I was relying solely on my work ethic, which doesn't
Wow.
work in the wardroom. The officer corps is definitely a team game.
Mm.
And so that book helped me kind of connect some dots with some stuff to make sure I was being a team player. But I had to figure some stuff out for myself first.
Now, in the pre-recording, you didn't mention this one. Have you read this one, Trailblazer?
No, I haven't read that one.
This one I do highly recommend, Vice Admiral Samuel L. Gravely, the very first
Nice.
African American admiral in
Yeah.
the Navy. His life is just amazing.
Oh yeah. But I mean, I've always looked at his life personally anyway. So
Yes.
yeah, good book.
Outstanding. Okay, who are some of your mentors and thought leaders, people you know that we should know?
That's an interesting question because now he's like name dropping.
or maybe
Um,
people who are already famous.
Let me
But-
see. Well, I mean, I would tell you a person that resonates very well with me is a hip hop preacher, E.T. Eric Thomas. I think he's great because even though the same energy output he has is not where I'm at, his
Mhm.
message is pretty specific, which is it starts with you kind of thing. And the ability to hold yourself accountable for what you want out of your life, it starts there.
Extreme ownership. That's right.
Absolutely.
Wow, that is powerful. So let me ask you this then: if you could choose three people, alive, dead, or mythical figure, to have dinner with, who would you choose and why?
Oh man. Let me see. Probably Martin Luther King Jr.,
Mm-hmm.
then the CNO,
Mm-hmm.
and
Which anciano?
it wouldn't matter because it was just whoever the CNO is,
Okay.
and then Optimus Prime.
Okay, very good. Now, we've got a question from the gang there watching us live. So Eric Wynn says, Des, who inspired or shaped your leadership style?
Oh man, that's a great question. Man, I guess I have to pick a moment in time first because I've been inspired by so many people. Inspired my leadership style.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, it looks like this one
Probably I would
help
say
some, right?
no. I would say I'll go back to a comment I had earlier about roles and functions. I'm gonna say and it's gonna sound like a name drop, but it just is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say Vice Chief of Operations Admiral Kilby. He's the one that gave me the roles and functions piece. But he gave it to me back when he was it was back during when I was in the Pentagon. There was in this window where I am post department head at sea.
Mm-hmm.
I've screened for command, but I'm still not in the pipeline yet. So I'm trying to think through what kind of leader I'm going to be.
Yes.
And we had a mentorship. I got on this calendar, had a mentorship session. That's one of the pieces that really stuck out with me: roles and functions. And why do I say that? Is because from a teams perspective, is going to be your quarter deck watch.
Yes.
Another team is going to be your watchstanders in CIC. Another team is going to be your bridge watch team, right? Another team is going to be your folks in CCS, right? Another team is your department heads.
Yes.
Another team is your chiefs. Man, see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so trying to understand who has what is what I found to be most successful.
Wow.
Because some of my problems, I needed an ETC, a chief electronics technician. But sometimes my problem is needed a chief. I needed a chief petty officer. I don't care what your rating is. There's a leadership challenge over here that this ship needs, and it is an issue that has come to my attention, and I see where it affects what we're trying to do. right?
Yes.
And so
Wow.
um but that comes back to the in the early stages of the
Hmm.
command, thinking about command roles and functions. Because again, I wanted everybody to understand what I wanted. I wanted to manage expectations throughout the command, which
Wow.
means starting by them knowing what I wanted from them.
Absolutely, Admiral Kirby. That is so insightful. Okay, someone had to drop, which is perfectly fine because we have 5 minutes above the time. But you told me I can have as much time as I want. I'm gonna
Yeah.
try to land this plan in the next 10 minutes. But yeah,
Okay, I'll give you 15.
thank you. Don't worry, guys. You can watch it the replay as soon as we are done. It's gonna be on LinkedIn and YouTube, and probably in a couple of hours, all of the other major podcast platform. Okay, let me also before I get to one more question from people watching from the audience. Let's listen to this. Fred Green says swimming was a challenge for me in OCS. It was so bad that our swim instructor was upset because I embarrassed him by sinking to the bottom of the pool. Okay, Fred, I
That's
think
hilarious.
you've got it. I don't think that's ever happened in my Navy career. Okay, when he called on me, it was to disapprove a fury of stream. All
That's
right,
hilarious.
that is very, very funny. All right, and a question from Stephanie Easter. She asks, you took command of start at a critical time. How did you know you were ready and up to the challenge? What advice would you give to a young leader to help them prepare to be ready for a challenge when it comes? Good question.
See, that's what happened. You drop your mentor's name, they come back with a question to call you out.
That's right.
Man, that's a great question. How did I know I was ready?
Hmm. And then how
Because
would you help prepare the
yeah,
next
yeah,
time?
yeah. Um, I knew I was ready because I wanted command.
Mm,
So, even though the circumstances around me assuming command were less than ideal, I was executive officer on Bainbridge, and then I was reslated to USS Stout. That's what was beautiful about it. I didn't change my game plan for command at all. I had an interesting phone call with my Commodore at the time that was a part of the decision to move me over to the Stout. And I asked him that question. I said, "Well, what do you need from me?" And he
mm,
said, "Ownership, accountability, and culture. Not get through the basic phase, not deploy on time, not,
mm,
fix X, Y, or Z. It was accountability, culture, and ownership." And so for me, I was like, okay, let's go. And I brought the same mentality to Stout. The only thing that was different was I had to relearn the sailors.
mm,
And so I spent the first 2 weeks kind of just before command, I had office calls with a lot of key players that influenced the ship, whether it was my port engineer. I met with the base CO, met with the type commander and some of their staff. um, and then when I got to the ship for turnover week, I probably spent 75% of my time meeting with the leaders on the ship that owned programs. And then did my assessment that way. So because the mission will take care of itself. And
mhm.
so I brought that approach. And so by the time uh, I took command, I was ready to run. And what
Wow.
was interesting, it was either first underway, first event was mooring to a buoy. So it was like, talk about challenges.
Mm,
But I had XO and the cunning officer on the bull nose on the foremost end of the ship and sound power phones, trying to make sure I get no less than or no more than 50 feet from a
mhm.
buoy while the bosun mate and the boat team tie us off to demonstrate that
Wow.
capability. And
Wow.
went from there.
That is amazing. So,
And then
is
the
there?
advice, but I would say the advice I would give the young leaders would be professional curiosity.
Mm, powerful.
The Navy brings in so many ensigns to create so many O6s 20, 25 years later. The
Hmm.
path is already laid. You're going to spend so much time as a divo, so much time as department head, so much time as an excellent CO. That part's already laid out. So go to my Navy HR, go to the Purge 41 website, go to the community brief, and
Hmm.
get professionally curious about what the Navy expects from you as a naval officer,
Yes.
and within your community. And I found that to be very helpful. And so um,
Mm,
the JO that is worried about if they can do it, that's where you start. You
Yes.
prepare for it. Don't say, don't your mindset shouldn't be, well, I'll figure it out when I get to the ship.
Mm,
Why? You got all
yes.
this time with no requirements are on you.
Yes.
That's the time to go read stuff. That's the time to go learn something. Let's
Mm,
go learn what the expectations are so you can show up with
yes.
a higher baseline level of knowledge so you can
Mm,
actually be
I
effective and
tell
have
you.
impact.
That is very, very good advice. So, is there a song, a book, or a movie that would be your life's theme or anthem?
Ooh, oh man. A book or movie that would be my life story.
Yes, your life's theme or anthem. Song, book, or movie.
Mm. Um, Interesting. Okay, well, I guess I'll go with two songs.
Okay.
Um, the first song would be it's a song by Fred Hammond, called "Thank You, I Won't Complain."
Mm,
That's one, and then another one would probably be
I love Fred.
oh, another song would be is the song I played for my first unrep in command. It was Jay-Z's public service announcement.
Okay.
A nice mix of humble confidence.
Yes.
Because what I like about the both of those songs is, I know where my help comes from.
Mm-hmm.
But there's still there's some of it on me where I gotta what keep what's happening to me in perspective, right?
Yes.
It's kind of that'd be the takeaway. And then with the Jay-Z song, just hey man, allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Hove.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Wait,
No,
that don't
that
get you
is
hype.
wonderful.
What doesn't?
Okay, so let me ask you a more serious question. If you had one and only one day to live, what would
Yeah.
you have liked your final contribution to be?
Um, to life in general,
Mm-hmm.
that my family is proud of me. And I did, and they know I did everything I could to be the best version of myself for them.
That's powerful. That's also my definition of success because it's not about how much you achieve, but gaining the respect. When I look at my wife, the way she looks at me, I want her to look at me like that for the rest of my life. If I want to do
Exactly.
anything, she's gonna be ashamed of.
Yep.
Powerful. Okay. And when you wake up in the morning, what is one problem you would like to solve?
Um, what am I gonna eat for breakfast?
Okay, that's a problem. Okay, very good. So we are coming to the very end of the show. Is there anything we can do to add value back to you to make a difference? Thank you so much for being so generous with your time.
Um, the something that one of the things I did on my in my command tour that was that it was very exhaustive for the leadership style,
Mhm.
but it paid off in dividends when it mattered most.
Mm.
Which was, and I told to this to my crew in all hands in intel meetings, small and large groups. I was consistent the whole time. Lead with empathy,
Mm.
because it starts with the thing that I need to do. I need your help.
Yes.
So let me communicate this need to you that accounts for your perspective of helping me.
Mm.
That way, I want to help you find your place in my solution because now I'm building an ally
Yes.
in that regard. And I found that to be very helpful, such that by the time we deployed, I was in command
Mm.
17 months,
Wow.
and I was already fatigued. And so, but I hit up one of my OCOs right before we deployed. He gave me the best advice for that moment, which
Wow.
was, "You trained them, now let them run the ship."
Wow.
And so we made the deployment because because of the crew, not because of I was. I was there to make decisions and
Yes.
to answer the calls from my chain of command, my warfare commanders.
Hmm.
And I did my best to protect the crew from whatever was going on
Yes.
outside the skin of the ship. My
Hmm.
job was to have that buffer there and allow them to do their job. And
Wow.
they did it well.
That
So
is
much so that we broke
powerful.
records.
Wow. That is amazing because it's really all about leadership, influence, and building an environment. When we talk about culture, where people want to be part of the environment, the workforce, your crew, and then when they show up, they do the very, very best work they can. Like General Powell says, right? Management takes you to 100%, but leadership can take you above 100%
Mhm.
because of that vision, that influence. Powerful. Oh, but by the way, just so that you know,
Yeah,
we are
sure.
also broadcasting on Twitch. I think it's mostly gamers who
Sure.
go there. So someone called,
Hey, Twitch.
I think of falsification. They just said hi. They usually don't listen to what we are doing, but anyway, they are. Some of them are listening. Okay, we are coming to the very end. Is there a question I should have asked you that I haven't asked yet?
No, I'm here as long as you need me. So
Okay.
if you got a bonus question, fire away.
All right. So I am going to ask that to you. First of all, what is the most rewarding aspect of your life experience so far?
Hmm. Um, on the family side, I would say just seeing my children transition to adulthood, being functional and contributing members of society.
That's
Twins
beautiful.
are in college, and my oldest daughter is doing her thing as well as an adult. So I'm truly, truly grateful for that. That'd be one part,
It's powerful.
and then I'd say for the Navy, um, to I have felt valued and appreciated
Hmm.
more times than not. That has been very helpful. Is to know that my contribution, no matter how small, can impact an individual or a team in
Yes.
any number of ways, which has been great.
Wow. That is exceptional. So the last question I'm going to ask you actually, before I do, so maybe you saw that Marco says, thank you for your time, knowledge, and leadership. And
Absolutely
also,
appreciate Marco.
Stephanie says, amazing session. So we are coming to the end here. So probably the most important question, I think, for the junior officers listening right now. If you could go back and give a piece of advice to your 17-year-old self, standing at the edge of this incredible career you've had in the US Navy, what would you say to 17-year-old Des?
Um, you can do it.
Just do
Because
it.
there's been, I would say because there's a couple of times where I did want to quit, you know,
Mhm.
but I was facing some decisions. Like I was gonna at my 20 when I was approaching my 20-year mark,
Mhm.
I was at a dark time from as a leader, and I very seriously considered retiring at right at the 20 and because it was myself and my chief. We had put so much
Mhm.
energy into trying to turn some things around, and
Yeah.
then some things were happening to me personally that I was just like, I said, I just can't take this anymore. um but I shared some things with leadership, and but what
Mhm.
got me over the hump was my sailors. Is
Yes.
my E6 leadership came to me and said, "Sir, it's going to be all right. We got you."
Mm.
Right. And
That's
so
powerful.
the second half of that tour was totally different from me for
Wow.
me. It's because it again, that transition where you think all of it's on you, your individual level of effort
Mhm.
is all you have. But when I built that allyship within my own sphere of influence, such that they were able to now carry this load that
Wow.
I didn't have to carry by myself, um, that was
That's
a game
powerful.
changer for me. And then here it is, 7 years later, I
Mhm.
get asked to go into a very difficult situation, but I had been through it. So I,
Yes.
I knew what that team um potentially could be, if I brought those lessons I learned to bear from years
Wow.
before.
That is very powerful. And for the junior officers listening, I would say you absolutely have to take care of your mental health. I know when I first joined the Navy 20 years ago, nobody wanted to talk about mental health because you're going to lose your security clearance and the Navy is going to kick you out. But today it's a different Navy. Yeah, it's definitely important. If you need
Can I
help,
say something about that real quick?
raise the hand and ask for help, please.
So it's interesting. You bring it up, but one thing I talk to my crew about as well too, and I'm not slamming mental health or anything like that. It's
Mhm.
characterization is really important in
Yes.
today's age, especially with social media allowing people to create virtual realities and different social
Yes.
constructs that lie to them.
Mhm.
For me, there's a difference between mental health and mental wellness,
Mm.
right? Getting counseling, going to seek professional help, you know, um, to validate what's going on with you physiologically. That's
Mhm.
one piece of it. But I talk to my crew a lot now, and I would bring my independent duty corpsman and my
Yes.
chaplain into that conversation as well. Like, let's talk about mental wellness.
Mm.
It's very easy to say physical standards are like this because of diet and exercise,
Yes.
right? But physical physical health is I'm going to do my PHA, I'm going to get my shots. But
Mhm.
what's physical fitness? Physical fitness is I got to make time to go work out. Physical
Yes.
fitness is if I got a choice between the carbs and the protein and the sugar, I got to make some choices. And so
Mhm.
what's your mental fitness like? Are you taking
Wow.
15 minutes to meditate? Are you getting the 6, 7, 8 hours of sleep? On the
Yes.
ship, are you choosing Wi-Fi or going to study? Are you
Mm.
choosing working out or going to get some extra training? The
Yes.
fitness piece of the mental part, it doesn't get enough conversation that's just my opinion.
Mm.
You know,
That's
the
powerful.
emphasis on mental fitness, the support is there. The support is great.
Yes.
Supporting people gets most of the conversation, but I'm a big personal accountability
Mm.
kind of guy. And where is your role in your fitness,
Wow, that's powerful.
right? So that'd be my challenge to anyone. What is your
Yes.
role in your fitness?
That really could be life changing. Thank you so much for sharing. Because I think again the Navy is changing now. But when I first joined the Navy 20 years ago, every male you want to be an alpha male. You think you're strong. Sometimes you even hurt yourself during PT or whatever. You don't want to tell anything to anyone. You
But
just man, I'm gonna take it. But I think that's maybe not the best framework. If you need help, it is okay. We are all
yeah.
human being, and sometimes we fall and have somebody help you get back up again. Okay, we are coming to the very end. Very, very quickly. Don't think too long. What did you want to be when you were a kid?
Oh, first I was gonna be an artist because I used to love to draw. Lost that skill set
Mm.
real quick. Then I was gonna go into architectural drafting. I was gonna go to MSMS, graduate
Wow.
from Mississippi State, or go to Mississippi State for architectural drafting, but I ended up going to Navy instead.
Wow. Okay. I guess that's not what you are now. Sometimes people may have dreams and then they find a way to still do it. But
Yeah.
okay, three adjective describing you as a child.
As a child,
Mhm.
um, I would say um, curious, um, boring, and um, dreamer.
Okay, as an adult.
Um, Focused, determined, um, and
Really quick.
empathetic.
Very good. Oh wow, that's quite a transformation. Okay, we are at the very, very end now. This is the very, very last question I'm gonna ask. What is one word that comes to mind to represent the shared experience we've had on this podcast? I think this is the longest podcast I've ever hosted. What is one word that comes to mind? Thank you for your time. Really appreciate that.
Grateful.
Grateful. Yeah, I think I am ecstatic. It really means a lot to me. I think I have the book here. Let me see if I can get it. This person really, truly is my hero, right? Colin Powell, the
Yeah,
son of John,
yeah. And
the
I read his
Navy.
book. It worked for me.
Wow. Yeah, I have that one too. And he actually signed it. Yeah, this one
Yeah,
here.
I got it signed from by
I
two
have
when
to,
I was in the Pentagon. Yeah,
yeah,
I
this
have
one.
that one. Yep, signed copy
Amazing.
too.
I finally met him in Atlanta. The way he speaks, I mean, is just amazing.
Yeah.
I wish he had run for president, but anyway, I think it really matters. Representation matters a lot because even as an E1, I knew, if I get a chance, I will either become when I went to boot camp, I become a chief or a commander. But seeing somebody who looks like you, who's like 4-star general, chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff, it really does something where it is possible, right? And I think it really matters a lot. So I am really excited. People like you doing extremely well, already in the top 4% of all U.S. Navy employees by being a commander, but now captain select, and all of the achievement in the world. It's really, really, really good to see that, especially when you look like me. I think we need to see more and more women, more people of color do very, very well in this U.S. Navy. We are not in 1930 anymore, I hope, but we want to move forward and give everybody a chance. And I really believe every industry, including the military, need to represent our nation, right? One nation under God. We are a melting pot, and I really think that diversity makes us so strong. So anyway, I am just excited to see you. So I don't think you're going to be retiring anytime soon. Mine is still a big question mark. I am in zone for 06 this year, but we're going to see
Nice.
how things go. But mine came really, really quickly because I haven't been in the Navy only 21 years next month, and I'm already in zone for 06. Maybe because I am an IP officer, not a SWO. I've heard that you guys SWO eat your young, so we don't do that in the
No, we
IP
don't do that
community.
anymore.
Oh, good,
Blasphemy.
good.
Blasphemy.
Wonderful.
No, strike
The
that from the
Navy is
record.
changing because you guys really, truly are the gold standard for the Navy. The entire IP community was really based on the performance of the SWO community. Before we came up with our fake, no, not fake, I shouldn't say that, not in public. Before we come up with our
You
warfare team,
professionalized your warfare
yes,
community.
yes. Before that, my plan was to actually do the full SWO thing, go 2-3 years on active duty, and then earn my SWO pin. But then when I heard that we were coming up with this information dominance copy, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
never mind. But anyway, what you guys do is I think the hardest work in the Navy, especially when you go out to sea. There is absolutely nothing like it.
Yeah.
Like I said, there are a few people in the Navy I know who've never been on a ship anywhere, never been deployed at sea, which I think is kind of sad. But actually, I know more sailors now who've been in the sandbox, right? Iraq,
Yeah.
Afghanistan with the army than on ships. But it's just wonderful. Anyway, I'm gonna cut this short. I'm speaking too much, but I'm very, very, very proud of you, Des, because it's not just you. I know we stand on the shoulders of giants, but really what you
Absolutely.
are doing is very meaningful. You are a trailblazer, and there are a lot of people in the service right now who are looking up to you. All right, to end this, Fred says thank you for sharing and for this podcast. And we have one more. Steven says absolutely reputation matter. And again, he says keep grinding. Okay, this is it. This is the end of the podcast. Thank you so much, Captain Select Desmond Walker. It sounds really, really good. Thank you, sir. Really
Thank
appreciate it.
you. I appreciate it.
All right.
Take care.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much. This has been the longest podcast of the season, but I think you know why this was so important. I'm really, really grateful for all of the feedback and the engagement. And I'm going to be back at the end of the month, right, on the 30th. I'm going to be speaking to the one and only Octavia Gardema. She is a best-selling author, Prep, Push, Pivot, and she also has 2 audible books, How to Change Career and Brand Yourself for Success. You do not want to miss it. Okay, thank you so much for being here. Sorry it took too long today, but I'm going to add a 10-minute recap sometimes next week for those who can spend an hour and 30 minutes to listen to the podcast. Thanks again, and I see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Leadership and Success Podcast with your host, Coach BZ. If you like what you heard, please subscribe to our channels and come back for more wisdom nuggets on how you may develop into a better leader and achieve greater levels of success. Leadership is the most critical skill. The world will always need leaders to lead others, deploy the next disruptive technology, or execute a business strategy. You may as well decide on counting yourself among the 21st century leaders. See you right here next time on the Leadership and Success Podcast with Coach BZ.